Welcome to Last Week in AWS. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn, and at least here, it's been a 3-day weekend. I'm keynoting Nanog in Kansas City in a couple of weeks, should you be around and want to hear me opine on networking in TCP Terminates on the Floor, the ebbing tide of networking expertise. Now, what did AWS get up to last week? Excellent question. Introducing Amazon EC2 C7i Flex instances. AWS just wheeled out a new instance type because clearly the world was anxiously awaiting yet another instance type. Now we can all burn up countless hours debating over whether this shiny new toy fits our workload better than the other 275 distinct options available to us. I legitimately don't know where this fits in to the rest of their stuff. Any help here would be great because AWS marketing clearly is willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time. This episode is sponsored by Prowler, the tool that makes your AWS security look like less of a dumpster fire. Prowler runs over 250 checks to make sure you're compliant with AWS best practices so you can focus on what you do best, whatever the hell that might be. Head on over to Prowler.com and get started. Your cloud security team will thank you, and if you don't have a cloud security team, well, you really need Prowler. Amazon RDS for Db2 introduces hourly licensing from IBM through AWS Marketplace. I tried to get access to Db2 in RDS when it launched. To do so, I had to reach out to IBM support through a web form. I'm still waiting to hear back 6 months later. Or, as IBM would likely put it, why am I in such a rush? Amazon VPC Lattice now supports TLS pass-through, and this is a big deal because TCP can now remain yours instead of entrusted to AWS entirely. That said, on Lattice, I mentioned it last week, and a couple people emailed to tell me they want to like it, but it's just too expensive. They made the same mistake that I did, assume that the charge was on top of the data transfer charges between AZs rather than a replacement for them. Could someone on the team please make this more prominently clear so I don't have to be your unpaid customer ombudsperson on this point? AWS CloudFormation streamlines deployment troubleshooting with AWS CloudTrail integration. Wow, a link to where the issue happened shows up in the CloudTrail logs. There's no way that this should feel as transformative as it does, yet we've collectively failed at this as an industry for decades. AWS CloudFormation accelerates dev test cycle with a new parameter for delete stack API, which is the wrong behavior. The example it gives, and that the rest of us have lived, is that when a stack fails to delete because of a non-empty S3 bucket, it goes ahead and makes a change where it just can power through it instead of failing the stack. Now, the correct behavior is to provide an override that says, no, I get it, delete the bucket anyway because I know what I'm doing, or at least I believe that I do. What this instead does is deletes the stack and orphans the bucket. Bad. Bad AWS. Go and clean up the mess you made on the floor. AWS Lambda Console now supports sharing test events between developers in additional regions. Oh my God, do I hate the entire Lambda test event perspective. Yes, I get it. Sometimes there are complex payloads that you need to provide, but here in my world, I use Lambdas as modified cron jobs. It sorely needs a just invoke the damn thing with an empty payload without making me jump through hoops button. Mail Manager. Amazon SCS introduces new email routing and archiving features. This feels like an enterprisey, by which I mean expensive, version of Cloudflare's email routing. I have many questions, like does it accept and bounce email, thus creating a problem for the rest of the internet, and few answers as of yet. Let's talk about Prowler open source. Look, AWS security is a beast, and unless you've got a team of magical unicorns, you're gonna miss something. That's where Prowler comes in. It's like having a security expert in your back pocket, running over 250 checks, and keeping your AWS environment in check. Thousands of companies trust it, and you should too. Give it a try at Prowler.com and turn your AWS security nightmares into sweet, sweet dreams. Join us at the AWS World IPv6 Day celebration. This is great, an in-person event to learn about IPv6. I'm going to attend the one in San Francisco and ask pointed questions about why the AWS Glue team has apparently never attended one of these before. And finally, 5 ways to increase AWS certified employees in your organization. Did you know that 95% of customers consider cloud certifications important in their decision-making process when choosing an AWS partner? I didn't realize 95% of organizations were delegating their decision-making to fools. Don't get me wrong, certifications serve a purpose. But the idea that everyone cares about them is patently false. Now let's be clear here. in order to be an AWS partner of any standing, you must have certified staff. So yeah, I could see that 95% of customers don't want a partner that lies about their partner status, but that's not the implication of this statement. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn. Please stay salty.